Chapter 1: The Project Begins. In the heart of Detroit, a bustling construction site hummed with activity. It was early September, a brisk morning, with the sun barely peeking over the city's skyline. Workers were already assembling materials, their voices blending with the distinctive sounds of machinery. Among them was Marcus Johnson, a skilled architect turned foreman, respected back at his firm but facing a different reality on the ground. As he surveyed the site, Marcus felt the weight of the project on his shoulders. This skyscraper was meant to breathe new life into the city, but everyone seemed to underestimate the complexity of the design. He had created a blueprint that merged modern aesthetics with the historical essence of Detroit, celebrating both innovation and heritage. Yet, among his coworkers, whispers and laughter followed him like shadows. "Marcus thinks we can put a green roof on a 20-story building. Please," a worker snickered, drawing nods of approval from others nearby. Marcus clenched his jaw but kept his head high. He knew that laughter often masked ignorance. They didn't see the potential he envisioned. He took a deep breath, reminding himself that every groundbreaking idea had faced skepticism at first. Later that morning, Marcus gathered the team for a meeting. He presented his design with passion, using sketches to illustrate how the green roof could not only improve air quality, but also reduce energy costs. He laid out the sustainability benefits, the aesthetic appeal, and the symbolic connection to the city's resilience. Yet, during the discussion, the room was filled with quiet disbelief. "This is a construction site, not an art gallery," Carl, one of the senior workers, interrupted, crossing his arms. "We don't have time for fancy ideas." Despite the undercurrents of mockery, Marcus persevered. He valued their experience but knew his design wasn't just about looks, it was about progress. After the meeting, he stayed behind to fine-tune his model, mixing in feedback but holding firm to his vision. That evening, as dusk settled over Detroit, the city illuminated by warm lights, Marcus stayed late, sketching and calculating, fueled by determination. Meanwhile, whispers of doubt persisted among the workers. "He's just trying to get a few extra bucks for fancy materials," someone said. But Marcus was driven by more than just money. He wanted to contribute to something meaningful. He wanted this skyscraper to stand as a beacon of hope, symbolizing the city's transformation. As the days passed, the tension on the site grew. Disregarded ideas led to frustration, but Marcus was too invested to back down. He sought allies, finding one in Alina, an environmental engineer whose background aligned with his vision. "You're onto something, Marcus," she said, her eyes lighting up at the designs. Together, they refined the concept, adding elements that would enhance the structure's integrity. Their collaboration sparked a flicker of interest among the crew, but still, jokes lingered. Late nights turned into early mornings, and Marcus felt the weight of proof on his shoulders. He knew that the real test would come when the design had to be implemented. Somehow, he had to convince them of its worth. One rainy afternoon, as the crew took shelter in the break room, an unexpected leak in the existing building revealed a multitude of cracks above. "Look at that. We can't let that happen again," a supervisor exclaimed, pointing out that the old structures weren't holding up against the wear of time. That moment ignited a realization in the crew. Perhaps Marcus's ideas weren't so far-fetched. The reality of their situation began to sink in. As they discussed the problems at hand, Marcus listened closely, eager to bridge his vision with their concerns. "What if we use the green roof not just for aesthetics but as insulation?" he suggested. Slowly, voices shifted from skepticism to curiosity. That evening, the atmosphere felt charged with a new sense of possibility. Marcus could see it in their eyes. The laughter was fading. People were beginning to contemplate. Mockery was being replaced with questions, and he held onto that glimmer of hope as they headed into the next phase of the project. Chapter 2: Building Bridges. As the sun rose over Detroit the next day, a palpable shift settled on the construction site. Workers moved with purpose, their chatter echoing with a newfound sense of camaraderie. The whispers had transformed into conversations about potential. Marcus was ready for the challenges ahead. He gathered the team again, this time presenting a more detailed plan that integrated their concerns with his design. "We can use local materials for the roof," he proposed. "It'll cut costs and support local businesses." Eyes widened, interest peaked. The idea of practicality resonated. It was no longer just about visuals. Carl, who had been a staunch critic, stepped forward. "All right, Marcus, let's see this green roof in action, but we need it to be robust. We can't afford any setbacks." Encouraged by the shifting attitudes, Marcus nodded, eager to collaborate. Each small victory fueled his determination. Days turned into weeks, and as work progressed, Marcus focused on fostering teamwork. He organized sessions where workers could voice their thoughts and contribute ideas. Alina became a crucial ally, sharing her expertise on sustainable practices. Together, they conducted workshops on green building techniques, helping the crew understand the benefits instead of viewing the green roof as just another layer of complexity. The rain-soaked sky mirrored Marcus's emotions. He was hopeful yet anxious. Would their visions translate into reality? Yet, as they broke ground on the green roof, laughter once filled with mockery transformed into tools rattling against the new framework, punctuated by the sounds of collaboration. As the work continued, Marcus felt a sense of pride watching the crew shift from skepticism to excitement. They tackled challenges together, brainstorming on how to integrate features like rainwater collection systems that could nurture the vegetation. Each idea unveiled more of the potential the project held. One afternoon, as they labored under the scorching sun, a conversation sparked between Marcus and Carl. "You know, I didn't think this whole green idea would work," Carl admitted, wiping sweat from his brow. "But I see what you're doing. It's smart." For Marcus, that acknowledgement meant everything. It wasn't about winning the approval of one man. It was about bringing the whole team along, making sure they each felt a part of the project. As the roof began to take shape, the atmosphere on the site shifted dramatically. Workers now approached Marcus with questions, eagerly sharing their own suggestions for enhancing the space. Marcus had transformed from an outsider into a leader, bridging the gap between labor and design, building trust where mockery had once thrived. Weeks later, it was time for a critical inspection. The crew gathered, wearing hard hats and holding clipboards, nerves bubbling beneath the surface. Marcus stood at the forefront, presenting confidently to the visiting supervisors, ready to showcase their progress. "This isn't just a roof," he explained. "It's a statement about what Detroit represents, a city evolving and committed to sustainability." He noticed Carl standing behind him, nodding in agreement, the camaraderie evident in their shared vision. As they unveiled the completed green roof, hands were raised in applause, respect blossoming between men and women who had once doubted him. The inspectors walked the site, clearly impressed with the design and execution. Marcus felt the adrenaline surge within him as he explained the features. "We're not just constructing a building, we're setting a precedent for future developments." He could see their skepticism fading, their interest deepening. When the inspection concluded, the lead inspector approached Marcus. "I must admit, you've exceeded our expectations," she said, a smile breaking through her professional demeanor. "This project is not only functional but inspirational. Well done." The moment felt surreal, pride washed over him. Turning back toward the crew, Marcus saw their faces light up with joy. In that instant, the laughter that had once followed him transformed into cheers of triumph. They had not only built a roof but had crafted a sense of unity. As they celebrated, Marcus realized that the true value of the project wasn't merely in its design. It was in the relationships forged amidst hardship. The stories of skepticism gave way to narratives of collaboration, resilience, and transformation. Together, they had built something greater than a skyscraper. They had built a community. Chapter 3: Facing Adversity. With the successful inspection behind them, confidence permeated the site. The crew was now buzzing with energy, and Marcus felt a renewed sense of purpose. But as the weeks rolled on, a harsh reality began to set in. Adverse weather threatened their timeline, and as the days grew shorter with the changing season, tensions rose. One chilly morning, the forecast predicted heavy rains. Marcus gathered the crew to discuss the day's plan. "We need to prioritize the exterior work while we can. If we can finish the walls before it rains, we'll minimize damage to our materials." There was a sense of urgency in his voice that resonated with everyone. However, some workers were skeptical. "Last time we rushed, we made mistakes," Carl pointed out, crossing his arms. "We can't afford to cut corners just because of a weather report." Marcus understood the concern. "You're right, Carl. What if we divide into teams? One group can finish the walls and the other can reinforce the roof. That way, we're maximizing our time without compromising quality." Slowly, murmurs of agreement spread through the group. They could adapt, they just needed to work together. As the day wore on, they hustled under overcast skies. The air was thick with anticipation, and every worker undertook their tasks with a mix of urgency and care. But just after lunch, the first drops of rain began to fall. Panic erupted as they scrambled to protect the materials and secure the site. Marcus felt a knot tighten in his stomach. This was the moment of truth. "Stay calm, we've practiced for this," he called out, diverting the crew into action. They worked as a unit, everyone knowing their role, but the heavy rain made it difficult. Visibility shrank, and the sound of rain mixed with the noise of their hurried footsteps. Amidst the chaos, Marcus noticed a section of the wall starting to sag. "We need more support here," he shouted, sprinting to gather extra materials. But before he could reach the area, he slipped on a wet surface and fell hard against a stack of plywood. Pain shot through his leg, but he pushed the discomfort aside. "I can't hold them back now," he thought. Carl was there rallying the workers. Let's get this wall stabilized. We need to make sure it can withstand the rain. His voice cut through the storm, grounding everyone. With renewed determination, the crew hurried to reinforce the wall, working in pairs to hold the structure steady. As the rain fell heavier, Marcus gritted his teeth, trying to stand. He could feel the anxiety in the air, but he refused to let it overwhelm him. When he finally managed to limp over, he saw Carl supporting a fellow worker. It struck Marcus how far they had come. The once somewhat reluctant crew was now functioning seamlessly together. Despite the chaos, they successfully secured the wall, effectively managing the risk of a collapse. Exhausted yet triumphant, they huddled underneath a temporary shelter as the rain continued pouring. "Marcus, you good?" Carl asked, eyeing Marcus's tense expression. "I think so," he replied, wincing as he shifted his weight. "Just a bit shaken up." The crew cracked jokes to lighten the mood, the camaraderie among them palpably growing even amid adversity. After the heavy rain subsided, the clouds parted, giving way to a vibrant sunset. The orange and purple hues painted the sky, and the team emerged from their shelter, shaken but proud. They gathered to assess the site, fingers stained with mud and smiles on their faces. "All right, team," Marcus said, still limping slightly. "We've faced the storm and came out standing. Let's keep this momentum going. We can't let setbacks define us." The unity in their eyes reflected the resilience that had formed among them. As they worked through the dusk, they spoke not of failures but of strengths, using the day's challenges as lessons. That night, the site was aglow with lights, illuminating a landscape of hope and progress. Each worker felt a shared ownership of the creation in progress, and Marcus couldn't help but smile. Together, they were building more than just a building. They were erecting a foundation of trust and teamwork. Chapter 4: A New Challenge. As the weeks turned into months, the construction site progressed steadily. The team had developed a rhythm, moving in sync like a well-oiled machine. Marcus felt more at home among them, their relationships deepening with each passing day. But just when they thought they were on solid ground, another challenge emerged. One crisp morning, Marcus arrived early, the air tinged with anticipation. Today was the day they would begin installing the green roof. He gathered the crew for a briefing, excitement buzzing in the air. "All right, everyone, today marks a big step for our project," Marcus announced, a broad smile on his face. "We're about to see our vision come to life. Remember, this is not just about the roof, it's about what it represents for the city." But just as hope filled the atmosphere, the site manager approached with an urgent expression. "Marcus, we need to talk," he said, pulling him aside. "There's been a complaint from the city about our plans. They're concerned about the environmental impact and potential drainage issues. They're threatening to halt our progress until we rectify this." A heavy weight settled on Marcus's chest. "What do they want us to change?" he asked, dread creeping into his voice. "There are regulations regarding the type of vegetation we're using, and some officials believe it could overwhelm the drainage system," the manager replied. "We need to address these issues by the end of the week." Marcus took a deep breath, fighting against rising frustration. The pressure of the impending deadline added an extra layer of stress. "We can work through this," he said, forcing determination through his words. "We'll modify the plans and ensure compliance." When he returned to the crew, he could sense the tension. "Listen up, everyone," he called out, trying to project confidence. "We've hit a setback regarding the green roof. The city has concerns about our plans, specifically how the vegetation will manage rainfall and drainage." A murmur of worry spread through the group. Carl stepped forward, brows knitted together. "What's our next move? We can't afford to slow down now." "Exactly," Marcus replied, rallying their spirits. "We need to come together, brainstorm alternatives, and ensure our design meets their standards. This is our opportunity to make it even better." Alina chimed in, her excitement infectious. "We could consider plants that are native to the area. They typically require less maintenance and better adapt to local weather conditions." The crew nodded in agreement, sparked by her enthusiasm. They gathered around their plans, brainstorming ideas late into the evening. Discussions flowed, creativity ignited, and solutions materialized. Ideas were thrown around: sedum plants for their hardiness, a smart drainage system that would channel excess water effectively. As they worked through every detail, Marcus felt a renewed sense of community. Individuals who once showed dissent were now invested. The laughter that once marked mockery now echoed with camaraderie as they collaborated toward a shared goal. Days passed filled with meetings and revisions. Marcus spent long hours crafting an amended proposal while consulting with Alina and other experts. They devised a plan that resembled their original vision, yet addressed every concern thrown their way. When the time came for the presentation, Marcus stood before city officials, armed with data and charts showing how the new design would effectively manage drainage while still maintaining the aesthetic they had envisioned. His pulse raced as he presented, pouring his heart into each word. The room was filled with skeptical expressions, and for a moment, doubt crept in. But just as he reached the climax of his presentation, he noticed Carl and the crew standing behind him, their presence solidifying his conviction. "We're not just constructing a building, we're creating a model for sustainable urban living," Marcus concluded, confidence radiating from him. "This project symbolizes our commitment to innovation and community responsibility." The officials deliberated, whispers exchanged, and after what felt like eternity, one of them leaned forward and nodded. "We're willing to approve these changes. Let's see how you execute it." A wave of relief washed over Marcus. As he exited the meeting, the burden of the last few weeks lifted from his shoulders. When he rejoined the crew, cheers erupted, and the weight of uncertainty transformed into a collective joy. "Great job, Marcus," Carl said, giving him a hearty clap on the back. Marcus felt a surge of gratitude. "We did this together. Every one of you contributed to turning this around." As they resumed work on the green roof, the team's energy surged. They were no longer just laborers. They were engineers, artists, and dreamers collaborating for something greater. The journey had tested their limits, but together they were creating a legacy, proving that with resilience, unity, and innovation, they could overcome any obstacle. Chapter 5: The Final Push. With the green roof plans approved, the team felt a renewed sense of purpose as they dove into the next phase of construction. In the crisp air of late fall, they prepared to transform their vision into reality. Marcus organized a scheduling strategy to ensure every detail was executed with precision. "All right, crew," he said during the morning briefing. "We've only got a few weeks left to finish the roof installation and the final touches. Let's stay focused. We're counting down to the grand unveiling." Excitement buzzed through the crew. They moved in sync, the camaraderie established over the past months energizing their efforts. However, Marcus kept a close eye on the weather forecast. The colder temperatures threatened their timeline and the health of the green roof installation. As installation day approached, the forecast predicted an unexpected cold snap. Anxiety washed over Marcus. Cold weather could ruin the delicate new plants they intended to place. He knew he had to act quickly. "All right, everyone," he gathered the crew again. "This is where we need to be proactive. We'll install the roof, but let's also prepare temporary coverings to protect the plants from frost. I want everyone's input on how we can ensure they thrive." Carl volunteered to lead a group to gather materials. "Let's make sure we've got plenty of insulation ready for the day of the installation. We can create a mini greenhouse effect." As plans solidified, Marcus felt more optimistic. With every contribution, morale climbed higher. The bond they had developed on-site carried them through late nights filled with laughter and brainstorming. They were a team, invested in one another's success. On installation day, the air was frigid, yet electrifying. Everyone bundled up, moving briskly to prepare. Marcus went over the details again, reminding the crew of their shared responsibility and the purpose behind their hard work. "I want you all to visualize how this will transform the city, provide green space, and improve air quality for the community," he urged. "Remember, every plant we place today is a step toward a sustainable future." As they set to work, the cold weather threatened to impede their progress, but they pushed through. Each layer added was a testament to their dedication. Marcus felt a swell of pride as he watched the crew operate, overcoming the chill with determination. Partway through the day, Alina noticed some issues with the drainage system they had implemented. "Marcus, we need to make adjustments here before we cover everything up," she pointed out. "If we don't correct this now, we'll run into problems later." Focusing on her recommendation, Marcus quickly called the team together. "We need to allocate some workers to reinforce the drainage right away," he said decisively. "Let's fix this before we proceed. It'll save us time in the long run." With a renewed sense of urgency, the crew quickly shifted gears, working for another few hours to adjust the drainage systems. They adapted and overcame every hiccup, proving their resilience once again. As the sun began to set, casting golden rays across the site, they gathered for a brief moment of pause. Marcus looked around, the crew huddled together. "I know it's been a tough day, but look at what we've accomplished. This roof is going to change the landscape of Detroit, and each of you plays a crucial part in this legacy." Finally, it came time to place the last plants on the roof. Marcus could hardly contain his excitement. Underneath the setting sun, they erupted into cheers as they completed the installation. They secured temporary coverings, ensuring warmth and protection for the new foliage as the temperature dipped further toward freezing. Standing on that rooftop, overlooking the city, Marcus felt a profound connection to the place they were building. It was more than just a structure. It was a symbol of hope, resilience, and community, all wrapped in green. As the project drew to a close, they prepped for the grand unveiling. News of the project's innovative design and sustainable features spread throughout the city, enhancing the excitement. Marcus couldn't help but reflect on how far they had come, not just in the construction, but in the relationships forged along the way. The team gathered once more in the lead-up to the opening ceremony. "This is our moment," Marcus declared. "We did this together. Let's make it a day to remember." With anticipation buzzing in the air, they all placed their hands in a circle, a symbol of their unity. As they moved forward together, Marcus knew that no matter the challenges ahead, this crew had the strength to overcome anything. They were ready to unveil not just a roof, but a vision for the future. Chapter 6: The Grand Unveiling. The day of the grand unveiling arrived with a bright, crisp winter morning. The sun shone down on the completed building, casting a warm glow over the greenery of the new roof. Marcus stood at the entrance, watching as guests began to gather. City officials, community members, and local media filled the site, buzzing with anticipation. As the crowd swelled, Marcus felt the adrenaline coursing through him. This was the moment they had all worked so hard for. He glanced around, spotting familiar faces, the crew who had become more than just coworkers. They had become friends and collaborators. Elena approached, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "This is it, Marcus. Look at everyone showing up for our project." "Yeah, it's amazing," he replied, his heart racing. "Let's hope they see the potential we aim to showcase." As the ceremony began, the project manager took the stage to deliver the opening remarks, highlighting the innovative aspects of the building and the commitment to sustainability. City representatives praised the team for their effort in creating a model for future developments in Detroit. Watching from the sidelines, Marcus felt a swell of pride. Finally, it was time for Marcus to speak. He stepped up to the podium, hands slightly trembling. He looked out at the crowd, their eyes eager and expectant. "Thank you all for gathering today," he began, his voice steadying as he spoke. "This project is not just about the physical structure you see before you. It represents hope for our community, a commitment to bring green spaces into our urban environment, a step towards sustainable living." His words echoed his passion and dedication. He recounted the journey of construction, the challenges they faced, and most importantly, the community that had rallied together to turn vision into reality. As he spoke, he noticed the crew gathering behind him, nodding and smiling, their spirits palpable. "This wouldn't have been possible without every single one of you standing here," he continued. "Together, we've created something special, a symbol of resilience and collaboration. This project is ours." Cheers erupted from the crowd as he finished his speech. The energy was electric, and Marcus felt a rush of gratitude wash over him. He stepped back, allowing others to share their thoughts and well wishes. The atmosphere was infused with excitement and anticipation. After the speeches, it was time for the big reveal. Marcus, along with city officials, led the guests to the rooftop. As they ascended, conversations brightened with curiosity. When they finally reached the top, the view was breathtaking. The greenery contrasted beautifully against the backdrop of the city skyline. Gasps filled the air as people took in the sight. They marveled at the planted areas that showcased vibrant colors, demonstrating how a building could harmonize with nature. Nestled within were benches and pathways, inviting the community to come together. Elena smiled brightly, standing beside Marcus as they watched the reactions unfold. "They love it," she exclaimed, her enthusiasm contagious. "Yeah, it's incredible to see," Marcus replied, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. This was more than just praise for the design. It was validation of their hard work and shared vision. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, delight illuminated the faces of everyone present. People began to mingle, exploring the new space, taking photos, and sharing stories about how the project would impact the community. In one corner, a group of local children with wide eyes dashed across the green roof, laughter echoing as they discovered a hidden seating area beneath a canopy of plants. The sight filled Marcus's heart with warmth. "Look at those kids," he chuckled. "This is what we envisioned, a space that brings joy to people." By the time the day turned to dusk, the rooftop was alive with conversations and laughter. The celebration felt like a reunion. Everyone was invested in the project, their contributions felt and valued. As the day drew to a close, Marcus stood on the rooftop, looking out over the city. The transformation they had achieved was profound, not just in physical terms, but in the spirit of collaboration that had unfolded. They had faced laughter, doubt, challenges, and even the harshest of weather, yet they emerged stronger. He turned to Elena, a sincere smile on his face. "This is just the beginning, isn't it?" "Yes, it is," she replied, her eyes sparkling with ambition. "If we can achieve this together, imagine what else we can do." As they shared a moment of reflection, Marcus knew that no matter where the future led them, one thing remained true. They had not just built a roof, they had built a community rooted in resilience, creativity, and hope. Chapter 7: A New Opportunity. In the weeks following the grand unveiling, the buzz around the new skyscraper continued to grow. The green roof attracted attention not only from locals, but also from media outlets eager to cover the project. Marcus and his team became beacons of innovation, conducting tours and speaking at various community events. One crisp morning, Marcus received an unexpected phone call. It was from a renowned urban planning conference that had heard about their project. "We'd like to invite you to speak about your experience with the Green Roof Initiative," Marcus, the event coordinator, said. "Your work has inspired many others, and we believe your story would resonate with our audience." Flattered yet nervous, Marcus accepted the invitation. He knew public speaking wasn't his forte, but he understood the importance of sharing their success to promote further sustainable initiatives. He spent the following weeks preparing, crafting his story while keeping the crew updated. "Just remember, Marcus," Elena said, encouraging him as they worked on the presentation together. "You're not just sharing data, you're sharing our journey. That's what will resonate." As the conference day approached, he felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. Marcus arrived at the venue, a large auditorium filled with urban planners, architects, and environmentalists. Standing before a crowd of eager faces, his heart raced. "Thank you all for being here today," Marcus began, holding his notes tightly. "I'm honored to share our journey as we created a Green Roof Initiative in Detroit, but more importantly, I want to share the lessons learned along the way." He launched into the story, detailing the initial skepticism, the team's challenges, and how they came together to overcome each obstacle. His passion ignited the room, and soon he was recounting the moments of triumph, laughter, and hard work with raw enthusiasm. As he concluded his presentation, applause enveloped him. He stepped back, a wave of relief washing over him. He had done it. More importantly, he realized he hadn't just spoken about their project. He had shared a philosophy, a belief in community, resilience, and sustainability. Following his presentation, several attendees approached Marcus with questions and feedback. He felt buoyed by their responses, invigorated by the conversations he was having about future possibilities. Later in the day, one individual, a prominent architect from a neighboring city, approached him. "Your project is remarkable. We're looking to implement a similar initiative in our urban areas. Would you consider collaborating with us on a feasibility study?" The suggestion surprised Marcus, but excitement bubbled within him. "Absolutely," he replied, envisioning the potential of spreading their message further. "I'd love to collaborate." As he departed the conference, Marcus felt a renewed sense of purpose. He had not only represented his team's work, but had also opened doors to future collaborations that could amplify their impact across the region. Back at the construction site, he couldn't contain his excitement when recounting the experience to the crew. "We've been offered an opportunity to collaborate on another sustainable project," he announced. Cheers erupted amongst them, and they rallied around the idea of expanding their influence. "This could mean growth for all of us," Carl said, enthusiasm radiating from him. "We can create a network of green initiatives across the state." The prospect of new opportunities invigorated the entire team. They knew they had the potential to inspire others, not just through their current project, but beyond. They gathered in the afternoon sunlight, discussing ideas for approaching cities about sustainability and urban planning. As they mapped out their next steps, Marcus felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. "It's about setting an example. We can help shape the future," he said, "together." Days turned into weeks, and as they began reaching out to various cities, the responses were overwhelmingly positive. Other municipalities were interested in their innovative approach, eager to learn from their experiences and collaborate on projects of their own. Soon they were hosting workshops and community forums, sharing insights and methodologies. As word spread, more communities joined the initiative, fostering an environment of cooperation and shared learning. Marcus saw the impact of their work ripple through the communities. What began as a single project in Detroit blossomed into a movement for sustainable development. The crew found joy in empowering others, deepening their bond as they moved forward. Amidst their growing influence, Marcus knew that each successful workshop, each eager pair of hands ready to learn, was a building block towards something greater. They weren't just changing buildings, they were fostering a movement rooted in sustainability, hope, and collaboration. Together, they stood on the brink of transformation, ready to make an even larger mark on the world around them. And as Marcus looked at the faces of the crew who had become his second family, he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride and promise. Their journey had only just begun. Chapter 8: Expanding Horizons. As the initiative gained traction, Marcus and his team began to realize the magnitude of their influence. Not only were they teaching communities about sustainable practices, but they were also igniting a passion for environmental consciousness among people of all ages. Schools, local organizations, and families began reaching out, eager to participate in the workshops they hosted. One sunny Saturday, they organized a community event called Green Day at the construction site. Marcus envisioned it as an educational fair, where families could learn about sustainability, gardening, and ecological responsibility through interactive activities. The planning process was a team effort, with each member of the crew contributing ideas. "Let's set up some hands-on demonstrations," Alina suggested enthusiastically. "We can create small planting stations where kids and adults can plant their own seedlings." Marcus loved the idea, "And we can include sessions on energy conservation and recycling," he added. "Let's make it a full day of learning and fun." As the day of the event approached, excitement buzzed within the community. Flyers circulated throughout the neighborhood, drawing attention to the initiative. Marcus couldn't help but feel hopeful that they were planting seeds of change in everyone who attended. The morning of Green Day arrived, bright and lively. Families flocked to the site, children laughing as they explored. Booths were set up around the construction site, with tables laden with seeds, compost, and gardening tools. Information posters showcased the benefits of eco-friendly living, and the air was filled with aromas of freshly prepared plant-based snacks. The crew were stationed at various booths, energetically guiding participants through workshops. Marcus stood at the central table, ready to kick off the opening ceremony. "Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today to celebrate sustainability and our shared commitment to a greener future," he began, beaming at the crowd. Alina, standing beside him, added, "This isn't just about learning how to be more sustainable. It's about building a community united in making positive changes." As the day unfolded, children adorned their hands with soil as they planted seedlings, while adults engaged in discussions about renewable energy sources. The atmosphere thrummed with energy and enthusiasm, with laughter and curiosity everywhere. Throughout the event, Marcus noticed conversations blossoming among attendees. Neighbors exchanged gardening tips, and families eagerly shared their ideas for eco-friendly practices. They were not just attending, they were engaging and becoming inspired. During a quiet moment at the booth, a young girl approached Marcus. "Can I help plant some seeds?" she asked, her eyes bright with excitement. "Of course," he replied, kneeling down to her level. "Here, let's pick some sunflower seeds. They're easy to grow and beautiful to see." Together, they prepared a small pot, her small hands digging into the soil with delight. As they planted, Marcus shared stories about the importance of pollinators and the environment. The girl listened intently, her enthusiasm growing with each explanation. It struck Marcus just how impactful this day was, how their small effort could cultivate lasting change. Later in the afternoon, feedback poured in. "This was the best day. Can we do it again?" parents asked, their faces filled with enthusiasm. As the sun began to set, casting a warm golden light over the bustling fair, Marcus gathered the crew to reflect. "Look at what we've accomplished today," he said, pride swelling within him. "We have inspired so many, and this is only the beginning." Alina nodded, glancing around at the smiling faces. "It's incredible to see their excitement. We've planted more than just seeds, we've planted ideas and hope." The community event was not merely a success, it marked a turning point for their initiative. The positive feedback encouraged them to plan additional events, workshops, and collaborations with schools. The momentum began to spiral, drawing more participants eager to engage in sustainability efforts. As winter approached, they launched a Green Winter campaign, focusing on winter gardening techniques and energy conservation. Local parks welcomed their outreach, agreeing to host workshops to extend their influence further. Marcus felt a blend of fulfillment and determination. The more they taught, the more he realized that their initial project had sparked a larger movement. They weren't just altering a single building, they were cultivating a community that valued sustainability, cooperation and a shared sense of responsibility for their environment. Every relationship forged, every hand joined in planting, represented a collective effort toward a more vibrant and sustainable future. Standing amidst the energy of the bustling community fair, Marcus knew they were on the cusp of something significant. With renewed purpose, he felt ready to explore further horizons, believing that their shared journey had the potential to reshape not just Detroit, but the world around them. Together, they were building more than a legacy, they were cultivating hope. Chapter 9: Turning Challenges into Opportunities. As winter settled in, the Green Winter campaign gained momentum. Workshops flourished, and attendance was consistently high. Families embraced the lessons on winter gardening and energy conservation, proving that the community was eager to learn and participate. One chilly afternoon, while preparing for a workshop on energy-saving home tips, Marcus gathered the crew to discuss a new opportunity they had stumbled upon. "I received a call from a local school district," he began, looking at the team. "They're interested in incorporating sustainability into their curriculum and want our help." Excitement rippled through the group. "This could be huge," Alina exclaimed. "We could engage students and teach them about the environment in a fun, hands-on way." Marcus nodded, already envisioning the possibilities. "We could create educational modules that align with their science curriculum, introducing topics like plants, ecosystems, and renewable energy in an interactive format." The crew embraced the idea, poring over concepts and activities they could integrate into the school programs. They envisioned outdoor classrooms, where students could plant and tend to gardens on school grounds while learning directly about plant biology and environmental science. However, with the excitement came challenges. Not every school had the resources for such initiatives. "We may need to fundraise or seek grants to support this," Carl pointed out, pragmatic as always. "It'll take time and effort, but it's worth it if we can reach more kids." Marcus agreed, determined to navigate these hurdles. "Let's start by reaching out to local businesses that care about environmental issues. We can propose sponsorship opportunities that benefit them while also supporting education." Over the next couple of weeks, the crew worked tirelessly to draft grant proposals and reach out to local businesses. They painted a vivid picture of how the intervention could enrich not just classrooms, but the entire community. Their efforts yielded positive responses. Several businesses were eager to collaborate, and funds began trickling in. As the partnerships grew, so did their enthusiasm. They organized a kickoff event with the school district, where students would learn about their roles in sustainability and get excited about the upcoming programs. On the day of the kickoff, the school auditorium buzzed with energy. Parents, teachers, and community members filled the seats, eager to hear about the initiative. Marcus stood at the podium, glancing at the rows of bright-eyed children in the audience. "Today marks the beginning of an important journey towards sustainability," he announced. Alina followed, speaking passionately about the hands-on projects they had planned. From building gardens to learning about composting, they would engage students fully, encouraging them to be champions for the environment. The event concluded with a call to action, where students were encouraged to bring ideas and suggestions for projects they wanted to implement. The excitement was palpable as they cheered and waved their hands, voicing countless ideas. In the following weeks, workshops took shape within school halls and playgrounds. The crew guided students in planting seeds, establishing small gardens, and experiencing the joys of nature firsthand. They transformed barren patches of land into vibrant ecosystems, which began attracting butterflies and bees. As winter turned into early spring, the fruits of their labor displayed themselves beautifully. Students proudly showcased their progress, eager to share what they had learned. Marcus often visited the schools, overwhelmed by the sense of accomplishment he felt watching these young minds embrace sustainable practices. During one visit, a group of students approached him, rattling off facts about their plants and the importance of pollinators. "I didn't know they helped create food," one boy exclaimed, eyes wide with excitement. Marcus knelt down to meet them at eye level. "Exactly, nature is all connected, and by learning about it, you can help it thrive," he encouraged. As the season progressed, the initiative expanded further across the district. Schools began to compete in friendly challenges, striving to cultivate the most vibrant gardens or reduce their energy usage. Marcus reveled in the spirit this created. It was not merely about competition, but fostering a sense of pride and responsibility among students. However, the growing success was met with skepticism from some. A group of community leaders had raised concerns about the costs and long-term sustainability of the programs. "Are we just throwing money at a fad? one questioned at a town hall meeting, surrounded by nodding heads. Marcus sensed the tension in the room, knowing they had to address their worries head-on. "I understand your concerns," he started, "but this isn't simply about immediate costs. It's about investing in our future. We are equipping our children with knowledge and skills that can lead to a healthier and more sustainable community." He pointed out the growing support from local businesses and community involvement as proof that the initiative was taking root. The audience listened, some still skeptical, but many swayed by Marcus's passion for the cause. "I believe we can turn these challenges into opportunities for everyone," he concluded, inviting open discussions that focused on constructive solutions rather than fears. The meeting marked a turning point. Conversations began to evolve toward collaboration and support rather than resistance. Together with both supporters and skeptics, they worked on refining the program, ensuring transparency about funding and long-term goals. Slowly but surely, trust began to blossom, and the initiative thrived. As the school year drew to a close, Marcus and the crew stood at the edge of a vibrant garden they had cultivated alongside the students. The contrast between the once barren landscape and the colorful blooms symbolized how far they had come, not just in their work, but as a community united toward a common cause. It was a realization: adversity had fueled growth, challenges had nurtured collaboration. Together, they were sowing seeds for a sustainable future, and Marcus couldn't wait to see where their journey would lead next. Chapter 10: Growing Together. As spring continued to flourish, the initiative expanded beyond the walls of schools and into the neighborhoods of Detroit. Community gardens began to sprout in parks, vacant lots, and even in residential backyards. The excitement was infectious, transforming once neglected spaces into vibrant hubs of activity where families could gather, learn, and grow. Marcus, along with the crew, organized garden days where residents could come together to plant seeds, share resources, and learn about sustainable gardening practices. The neighborhoods buzzed with laughter and conversation, kids running around while parents dug into the earth, planting hopes and dreams alongside their seedlings. One Saturday morning, Marcus arrived early at a local park where they had planned their biggest garden day yet. Tables were set up with seedlings, tools, and a plethora of information on plant care, recycling, and energy conservation. Children were already there, eager and energetic, with parents trailing behind, coffee in hand. As attendees arrived, Marcus took a moment to speak. "Thank you all for coming today. This isn't just about gardening, it's about building community and resilience. Together, we can transform our neighborhoods and ensure a sustainable future for everyone." Elena held a workshop nearby, demonstrating how to create compost bins. "This is a great way to reduce waste and nourish your soil," she explained to a captivated audience. Hands shot up as people poured their questions and enthusiasm into the discussions. With each seed planted and every tip shared, a sense of unity grew stronger. Families learned from each other, neighbors formed connections, and the spirit of collective responsibility flourished. The gardens soon became gathering points where friendships blossomed and the sense of community deepened. However, amidst this collective growth, challenges still lurked. The city council proposed new regulations that could impact their gardening initiatives. Some restrictions on land use and community gardens raised concerns among residents. At the next town hall meeting, Marcus felt a wave of anxiety as he stood before a room filled with concerned faces. "We need to address these new regulations and ensure our voices are heard," he began, his heart pounding. "Community gardens not only beautify our neighborhoods, they provide food, promote mental health, and strengthen our community ties." Residents voiced their support, sharing personal stories about how gardening had positively impacted their families. "I've seen my children grow so much more engaged and happy since we started gardening," one mother cried. "We can't allow these regulations to hinder our community's growth." Marcus championed their voices, ensuring the meeting focused on collaboration rather than conflict. "If we can present a unified front, we can work with the city to find solutions that benefit everyone," he proposed. The room buzzed with energy, and a strategy began to form. Following the meeting, they organized a petition and community forum where everyone could express their concerns and ideas. It quickly became clear that the connection they had forged through gardening was something they couldn't lose. "Let's show the city how valuable our community gardens are," encouraged Carl, as they rallied commitment from residents to take action. As the weeks passed, momentum built. With the community's involvement, they petitioned local representatives, gathered support, and presented data highlighting the benefits of their initiatives. Together, they wrote letters, made phone calls, and even organized a Day of Action rally, where residents gathered to demonstrate their commitment to preserving their green spaces. On the day of the rally, the atmosphere was charged with determination. Banners declared the importance of community gardens, and families assembled with seedlings in hand, a symbol of their resolve. Music played and laughter filled the air as they marched to City Hall, their combined energy undeniable. When they arrived, residents had the chance to present their stories, advocating for the gardens that had changed their lives. Marcus stood alongside them, his heart swelling with pride. The demand for community involvement and collaboration resonated within the walls of the council chamber. Eventually, a council member spoke up, acknowledging the initiative's positive impact. "We've seen the benefits of community engagement and sustainability," she admitted. "Let's work together to revise these regulations in ways that protect both land and community." A cheer erupted as hope pierced through the tension. It was a turning point, proof that their collective voice could influence change. They would create a framework that allowed gardens to thrive while ensuring responsible land use, reinforcing their role in the community. As the seasons changed, so did the landscape of their efforts. The community gardens flourished under loving hands, producing bountiful harvests. Families celebrated their successes through potlucks, sharing meals made with fresh vegetables packed with flavors and love. Marcus felt an overwhelming sense of accomplishment as he watched children giggling while picking vegetables. They weren't just growing plants, they were cultivating a sense of belonging, responsibility, and joy. One day, during a community potluck, a young girl approached Marcus with a basket full of colorful vegetables she had picked. "I wanted to give these to you," she said shyly. "Thank you for helping us grow our garden." His heart swelled with gratitude. "These look amazing. You've done a great job," he responded, crouching down to her level. "Do you want to help us start a recipe book so we can share what we make with each other?" The idea sparked excitement in her eyes. "Yes, I want to help." As the meal unfolded with laughter, stories, and delicious dishes, Marcus felt a deep connection to the community he had helped cultivate. They had gone beyond gardening. They had become a family, growing together through challenges and triumphs. With fresh produce and warmth in their hearts, the community thrived, an example of resilience and unity. And as Marcus looked around at the smiling faces, he knew they had not only planted seeds in the ground, they were sowing the future of their community, rich with love, hope, and promise. Chapter 11: Seeds of Change. As summer unfolded, the community gardens began to burst with life. The vibrant colors of flowers and vegetables painted the landscape, attracting butterflies and bees. Marcus reveled in the flourishing atmosphere, watching families gather, sharing harvests and exchanging recipes. With each passing day, their bond deepened. To keep the momentum going, Marcus introduced a garden exchange program, inviting residents to share excess produce with neighbors and learn new culinary techniques. "This isn't just about growing food, it's about nurturing our community spirit," he explained during a gathering. The response was overwhelming. Families began to share everything from zucchini to heirloom tomatoes, some even sharing herbs for new recipes. The exchange fostered a sense of camaraderie, as neighbors connected through delicious meals cooked with love. Marcus and the crew also organized workshops focused on canning and preserving. "These skills will help us make the most of our harvests," Elena said excitedly, demonstrating how to create pickles with fresh cucumbers. Anticipation filled the air as participants watched closely, eager to learn. One late afternoon, as the sun began to set, a gathering of families filled the garden. They laughed and worked side by side, filling jars with colorful vegetables. The scent of dill and garlic wafted through the air, accompanied by the soft chatter of children. As Marcus moved between tables, he noticed a familiar face, a woman named Rosa, who had been a reluctant participant at first. "I never thought I'd enjoy gardening," she admitted, her hands busy with tomatoes. "But now, I look forward to coming here every week." Marcus smiled, realizing how much growth had taken place, not just in the gardens, but in the people as well. "You've become an integral part of this community," he replied. "Your energy is contagious." Rosa beamed at the compliment, surrounded by her children, who were busy stuffing jars. "Thank you for believing in us. We've learned so much." However, alongside the successes, challenges still lurked. As the summer heat intensified, city officials approached Marcus, raising concerns over water usage in the community gardens. "With the ongoing drought conditions, we have to limit how much water can be used," one council member informed him. Marcus felt a wave of anxiety. "This could significantly affect our gardens," he thought, grappling with concern for the community's efforts. It reminded him of the earlier obstacles they had faced, fighting for regulations and overcoming skepticism. Determined to address the situation, Marcus called for an emergency meeting with the community to develop a strategy. Individuals from diverse backgrounds came together, united by a common goal. We need to find alternatives, he urged. Let's brainstorm ways to conserve water while still keeping our gardens thriving. As ideas flowed, suggestions about rainwater harvesting, graywater recycling, and drought-resistant plants emerged. The conversations buzzed with energy as solutions began to materialize. It's time to teach everyone about drip irrigation systems, suggested Carl, who had been researching methods. They can efficiently water plants without wasting water. With fresh resolve, the group quickly set to work. They organized a WaterSmart workshop to educate residents on conservation techniques, demonstrating how to implement systems in their gardens and homes. By inviting local environmental experts, they not only expanded their knowledge, but also strengthened ties with regional organizations dedicated to water conservation. The workshops became a huge success, with participation surging as community members learned to adapt to the changing climate. "I didn't know there were so many ways to save water," one participant exclaimed. "This is great." As the program bloomed, word spread beyond their neighborhood, attracting attention from nearby communities. Marcus felt pride swell within him, realizing that they were impacting not only their area, but also inspiring surrounding neighborhoods to adopt sustainable practices. Months passed, and as autumn approached, the gardens flourished, with harvest parties marking the season's end. The community came together, sharing bountiful dishes while reveling in each other's company. At the final gathering, families set up tables filled with colorful dishes made from their harvest. Laughter and storytelling filled the air as children played nearby. Marcus made his way to the central table, where everyone was gathered. "Thank you all for your hard work and dedication," he said, raising a glass. "What we've accomplished together is incredible. We've not only created beautiful gardens, but also a strong community. Let's continue to grow, adapt, and support one another." Cheers erupted from the crowd. The energy was palpable, and they all felt a part of something greater than themselves, a movement rooted in sustainability, collaboration, and love. As sunset approached, the vibrant hues of orange and purple washed over the sky, and Marcus looked out over the flourishing gardens. He realized that their efforts had not only yielded crops, but had sown genuine connections among neighbors. In that moment, he understood that growing together would always take precedence over the fruits they harvested. This was a legacy of love and community, one that would flourish long after the last seeds of the season were planted. Together, they had shown that hope, kindness, and hard work could blossom into something extraordinary. Chapter 12: Harvesting Hopes. With the arrival of winter, the community gardens began to take on a different character. While the vibrant colors of summer faded, the bonds cultivated through the warm months grew stronger. Families prepared for the colder season, reflecting on their progress and planning for the future. Despite the chill in the air, warmth filled Marcus's heart as he gathered the crew for a community meeting. "As we wrap up the year, it's important to reflect on everything we've accomplished," he noted, his voice brimming with excitement. "Let's discuss how we can keep our momentum going through the winter months." Elena spoke up, her enthusiasm contagious. "We can launch a winter gardening workshop. There are plenty of ways to grow inside or even later in the season with cold frames." "That's a great idea," Marcus replied, scribbling notes. The vision of lush greenery amidst winter snow ignited something within him. "Let's also explore community involvement in local food drives. We can organize efforts to donate for families in need." The crew nodded, energized by the idea. They threw around concepts, brainstorming possibilities for the winter workshops and outreach initiatives. It was clear that their commitment to the community extended beyond gardening. It was about fostering a culture of support and connection. Over the next few weeks, they organized winter gardening classes, teaching residents how to grow herbs indoors and care for potted plants. The community center became a hub of activity as families learned how to keep life thriving even through the cold. During one session, kids excitedly planted pots of basil, while parents learned about hydroponics. Marcus moved from table to table, sharing tips about keeping plants healthy and vibrant during the dreary months. On a particularly snowy day, Marcus received a call from the school district. "We've seen how successful your initiatives are, and we'd like to extend our partnership," the representative said. "We're hoping to incorporate winter gardening programs into physical education classes. We need your expertise." Thrilled by the opportunity, Marcus gathered the crew. "This could be a pivotal moment for us. Integrating gardening into the school curriculum during winter will keep students engaged and learning throughout the year." As they began collaborating with the schools, they realized their influence was spreading. Teachers and students alike were eager to embrace gardening, seeing it as a bridge to understanding broader concepts like nutrition, environment, and community empowerment. Weeks turned into months, and soon spring approached with an air of fresh possibility. Marcus and the crew planned a spring renewal festival to celebrate the changing season. It was an opportunity to invite the community back together, reflect on their winter achievements, and plant new seeds for the upcoming growing season. On the day of the festival, the park brimmed with energy. Families brought crafts and local foods, while booths decorated with colorful banners lined the pathways. Marcus observed as children painted pots, parents participated in cooking demonstrations, and the atmosphere buzzed with laughter. "Today is a celebration of our growth, both in our gardens and as a community," he proclaimed, addressing the gathered crowd. With excitement, he spoke of their winter achievements, successful indoor gardening workshops, collaborations with schools, and the ongoing dedication of their volunteers. The audience clapped eagerly as he showcased a few highlights, including kids' artwork that displayed their gardening experiences. "These plants are not just life in the soil, they symbolize our resilience and our commitment to one another," he added. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, Marcus felt a familiar warmth spread through him. They were flourishing, not just because of the community gardens, but because of the relationships they had nurtured. The festival culminated in a collective planting ceremony. Families gathered around a large flower bed, each person holding a seedling to plant. "Let's plant these as a symbol of our renewed commitment to each other, our community, and our future," Marcus encouraged. As they placed their seedlings in the ground, he could almost hear the whispers of hope echoing through the park. The roots of connection deepened with every seed, weaving together their aspirations, dreams, and collective determination to build a better world. With the arrival of spring, the gardens began to flourish again, blooming with colors and life. As new families joined the initiative, Marcus felt a sense of fulfillment envelop him. Everyone was welcomed with open arms, ready to bloom alongside the gardens. As he looked back at the progression of their journey, from the initial skepticism to a thriving community, the growth felt tangible. They had cultivated resilience, forged unbreakable bonds, and planted seeds of hope that would last for generations. Together, they had nurtured a garden that transcended flowers and vegetables. It was a thriving testament to what could be achieved when people came together with love and a shared vision. And as they continued to water the ground of their relationships, he couldn't help but dream of what their community would become in the seasons ahead. Chapter 13: A Growing Legacy. As spring gave way to summer, the community gardens thrived in full bloom, humming with life and activity. The vibrancy of colors and the aroma of fresh produce filled the air, drawing both familiar faces and newcomers eager to participate. Marcus felt an overwhelming sense of pride as he witnessed the success of their hard work. The Spring Renewal Festival had energized the community, paving the way for a series of workshops that continued to attract attention. Neighbors eagerly gathered in the gardens, sharing gardening tips, trading stories, and learning together. Marcus was often amazed at the depth of knowledge present among them, with every workshop becoming a collaborative effort. One afternoon, as Marcus was tending to the garden, a local journalist approached him. "I've been following your initiative, and it's inspiring," she said, her notepad at the ready. "Would you mind if I interviewed you for our local magazine?" Feeling both excited and nervous, Marcus nodded. "Of course, I'd be happy to share our story." As they chatted, he emphasized not only the importance of sustainable gardening, but also the connections and friendships that had blossomed alongside their efforts. The article, titled "Cultivating Community: How One Initiative is Turning Detroit Green," gained traction. As it circulated, interest in their work heightened beyond their neighborhood, drawing the attention of city planners and environmental organizations. Not long afterward, Marcus received a call requesting his presence at a city planning meeting. "We want to explore how we can replicate your community gardening model throughout the city," a city planner explained. "Your approach has shown significant community engagement and environmental benefits." Marcus felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. "I'd love to share our experiences," he replied, "but it's essential to highlight that our growth stems from relationships built within the community." At the meeting, he presented the journey they had undertaken, how they had first struggled against skepticism, later transformed their garden into a thriving community resource, and fostered collaboration among residents. The response was overwhelmingly supportive, and several key stakeholders expressed interest in collaborating to expand the initiative citywide. As they discussed potential sites for new community gardens, Marcus emphasized the importance of continued community involvement. It's not just about planting, it's about building connections. We need to ensure that the communities involved have a voice in this process, he stressed. Over the following months, plans took shape for a pilot program aimed at establishing community gardens in several neighborhoods throughout Detroit. Marcus was invited to be a consultant, collaborating with city officials and other community leaders to implement the vision they had brought to life. Each garden site became a unique project, shaped by its community's needs and desires. The crew visited different neighborhoods, sharing their experiences and fostering engagement, ensuring that more voices were included in the process. One day, as they broke ground on a new community garden in a previously neglected area, a crowd of residents gathered, excited about the transformation. Children ran around with shovels, eager to participate. Marcus watched proudly, aware that each garden signified not just a beautiful space but the foundation of community spirit. "Today we're planting seeds of hope," he told the gathering. "This garden will provide nourishment for our bodies, but also for our relationships. Let's build something beautiful together." As they worked, he engaged both children and parents, encouraging them to envision how the space could be utilized, from planting to education. The ideas that sprang forth reflected the creativity and desires of the community, and Marcus was reminded that the garden would flourish not just from the soil, but from the love and care instilled within it. As summer advanced, the pilot program demonstrated promise, flourishing across the various neighborhoods. The impact was palpable. Families began to gather regularly in the gardens, sharing knowledge, food, and resources while fostering a newfound sense of belonging. News of their success spread. Local schools started adopting similar models, implementing garden programs within their curriculums. Marcus received countless messages of gratitude and support, sharing stories about how the community gardens had changed lives, improved mental health, and built friendships. One evening, as Marcus prepared for another community meeting, he reflected on the journey. From initial laughter and skepticism to thriving gardens and flourishing relationships, he knew this was more than just about growing plants. It was about nurturing a legacy rooted in love, support, and community resilience. During the meeting, he decided to introduce a new initiative, Garden Mentors. He envisioned connecting seasoned gardeners with beginners, strengthening community ties while empowering people to take charge of their own gardening journeys. "We all have something to learn and teach," he explained, "and together we can cultivate a community of knowledge." The room lit up with enthusiasm. Residents shared their own experiences, ready to step up and guide others. The sense of collaboration was overwhelming, with each person eager to contribute to a brighter future. As summer shifted toward fall, Marcus felt a sense of fulfillment wash over him. The gardens represented not just crops, but the culmination of hard work, determination, and community, a testament to the beauty of growing together. And as he looked out at the vibrant connections taking root all around him, he couldn't help but feel hopeful about what lay ahead. The seeds of change had been sown, and they were just beginning to blossom into a legacy of resilience and unity. Chapter 14: The Fall Festival. As autumn approached, the community prepared to celebrate their hard work and resilience with a fall festival. The vibrant colors of fall foliage mirrored the joy that enveloped the gardens and community spaces. Marcus and the crew envisioned the festival as a way to bring everyone together, showcasing the bounty of their gardens while reflecting on their journey. Planning for the festival involved brainstorming sessions filled with laughter and creativity. "Let's have a pumpkin carving contest," Elena suggested excitedly, "and we can offer workshops on preserving the last of our harvests for winter." "We should also incorporate local artists," Carl chimed in, "to celebrate the culture and creativity within our community." As they organized the festival, excitement buzzed through the neighborhood. Flyers circulated, and families began to contribute ideas, eager to showcase their skills and goods. Local musicians volunteered to perform, adding to the festive spirit. On the day of the fall festival, the park erupted with laughter, music, and the delightful aroma of autumn-inspired dishes. Colorful booths filled with pumpkins, apples, homemade jams, and baked goods lined the pathways. Children rushed between stations, wide-eyed with anticipation, ready to participate in games and activities. Marcus stood at the entrance, greeting guests with a smile. "Welcome, today we're celebrating our community and everything we've accomplished together," he announced. The crowd cheered, their excitement palpable. Throughout the day, workshops kept attendees engaged. Families gathered around tables to learn about making apple cider, pickling vegetables, and even crafting unique decorations with natural materials. The pumpkin carving contest drew delight, with participants showcasing their creativity and artistic flair. As the day progressed, the height of joy culminated in a planned community potluck, where everyone contributed dishes made from their garden's harvests. Long tables were adorned with an array of colors and flavors: zucchini bread, roasted vegetables, and pies filled with fresh apples. The sense of pride radiating from everyone was undeniable. As Marcus surveyed the bustling park filled with laughter and love, he felt a profound sense of fulfillment. He knew that the gardens had provided more than just food. They were the heart of a thriving community, fostering connections that would last a lifetime. As dusk fell and the sun cast a warm glow over the festival, Marcus took the stage again. Thank you all for being part of this incredible journey. Today isn't just about the bounty of our gardens, it's about the friendships we've built and the resilience we've shown in the face of challenges. The crowd erupted with cheers, and he could see the joy reflected in everyone's eyes. Let's commit to continuing this journey together, supporting one another and nurturing our community for years to come. Afterward, the festivities continued. Musicians performed as families gathered around, dancing and celebrating. Children laughed and played, their joy infectious. Marcus felt a wave of nostalgia wash over him, remembering how much had changed since that first project on the construction site. The festival concluded with a heartfelt moment. As night fell, attendees gathered for a final toast. To growth, community, and the lessons learned along the way, Marcus raised a cup filled with homemade cider. People raised their glasses in unison, echoing the sentiment with warmth and laughter. As the festival wound down, Marcus and the crew began to clean up, taking their time to reflect. "I can't believe how far we've come," Elena remarked, her eyes shining with fulfillment. "This has become something beautiful, hasn't it?" "Absolutely, each garden represents a story, a bond, and a commitment to one another," Marcus replied, his heart swelling with pride. As they packed up, a young girl approached Marcus, holding a small pumpkin she had decorated. "Look, I made this for you," she said with a shy smile. "Thank you for helping us grow." Marcus knelt down, touched by her generosity. "It's beautiful, thank you. You've all worked so hard. This really belongs to everyone." With the festival wrapping up, Marcus felt hopeful about the future. He knew that the seeds they had planted, physically and emotionally, would continue to grow and shape their community. Together, they were building a legacy of resilience, unity, and sustainable living. As they watched the last bits of sunlight fade beyond the horizon, a realization struck Marcus. While they had accomplished so much, this was only the beginning. They had cultivated more than gardens. They had cultivated a movement that would impact generations to come. The journey ahead was filled with promise, and he couldn't wait to see where it would lead them next. Chapter 15: A Legacy of Growth. As winter settled in, the vibrant energy of the fall festival continued to resonate within the community. The gardens, though dormant, had laid a strong foundation for the upcoming seasons. Families often gathered during the snowy weeks to share stories and plan for the next planting season, reflecting on how their efforts had nurtured not just plants but deep connections among one another. Marcus, ever committed to fostering growth, reached out to various local organizations, eager to strengthen partnerships and explore new avenues for community engagement. He organized meetings with schools, environmental groups, and local businesses to discuss collaborative projects that would continue to instill a sense of stewardship toward the environment and establish a culture of sustainability. At one meeting, an environmental leadership group expressed interest in launching a documentary that would profile their journey. "We want to showcase how your community gardens have transformed not just landscapes but lives," the director explained, enthusiasm lighting his face. This kind of storytelling could inspire others to initiate similar projects across the nation. Hearing this, Marcus felt a rush of excitement. "Yes, we need to show how resilience and community can bring transformative change. It's not just about gardening, it's about people coming together," he responded, smiling broadly. The planning phases moved quickly, resulting in several filming days where the crew captured the laughter, learning, and growth that defined the community's experiences. Marcus reveled in watching families interact with each other and the gardens, sharing stories of challenges they had faced and how they had worked together to overcome them. As the winter months rolled on, the documentary took shape, capturing the heart and soul of what they had built together. The transformative journey was evident. It highlighted not just the green spaces, but also the adults rediscovering their passion for growing, the children learning about nature, and the bonds that had blossomed between neighbors. The excitement peaked when the documentary premiered at a local theater. Families crowded the seats, and anticipation filled the room as they watched their own stories unfold on the big screen. Each segment evoked pride and nostalgia, reflecting the journey from doubt to triumph, weaving through memories of planting seeds, overcoming obstacles, and celebrating successes. After the screening, the room erupted into applause, and many attendees were visibly moved. Marcus took the stage to share a few heartfelt words. Thank you all for being part of this journey. This documentary represents not just what we've accomplished, but the love and care that has gone into every garden. We've built more than plots of land. We've established a lasting legacy of growth for our community. The response was overwhelming, with cheers and encouragement from the audience. The energy in the room signified that their story was just beginning to resonate beyond their borders. As the cold months melted into spring, excitement stirred in the air once again. Marcus and the crew worked tirelessly to prepare the gardens for planting, reminding the community of the upcoming season. The winter garden workshops had equipped many with the skills to start seeds indoors, ensuring that everyone felt empowered and ready to participate. Once the frost lifted, the community burst back into action. Families gathered in the gardens, ready to plant their seedlings. The laughter and joy echoed through the air as they nurtured one another, ready to sow seeds that would bloom into a tapestry of colors and flavors. The opening of the new gardening season culminated in a grand Spring Awakening festival, dedicated to celebrating their resilience and vision. The event drew attendees from surrounding neighborhoods, and excitement radiated through the air as they began another fruitful journey together. As Marcus stood among the vibrant blooms, surrounded by friends and neighbors, he felt deeply grateful. The gardens had become symbols of what was possible when a community came together with love and hope. They had fostered relationships that transcended boundaries, anchored their commitment to sustainability, and left a lasting imprint on the landscape of Detroit. In that moment, he recognized the true legacy they had built, a legacy rooted in community, resilience, and a shared dream for future generations. Marcus smiled, looking forward to all that was yet to come, knowing that the seeds they had planted, both in the soil and in the hearts of those around them, would continue to grow and inspire. Together, they had nurtured a movement that would thrive long into the future.